really excited about this panel. Here in Silicon Valley, and I will admit even here at Stanford, we can get awfully fixated on the idea that you have to grow a company by taking capital from a venture capital company. But of course, very few companies actually take VC money. It's less than 0.1% of all companies in the United States that ever take venture capital money. So in this panel, we get to hear from 3 leaders who have taken the path more traveled and not raised external capital. They've grown their companies in a more organic, internal sort of way. And I'm really excited for you to hear from them. So let me start by introducing them. Just to my left, Arjun Nair is the co-founder of Great Learning, one of the world's leading professional learning and higher education companies. Over the last decade, they have delivered 130 million hours of learning for hundreds of thousands of learners across 170 different companies. The far end here, JeVon McCormick is the CEO of Scribe Media. It's a multi-million-dollar company that's redefining how we publish, and they were recently ranked #1 in the top culture in America by Entrepreneur magazine. And I think you may hear more about that as we get into some of the questions. And then in the middle here, Nina Vaca is the chairman and CEO of Pinnacle Group, a global workforce solutions provider named as one of the fastest growing women-owned companies in the country, not once, but twice in the last 6 years. Wow. And she is one of the few Latinas serving on public company boards in the United States. So really grateful to all 3 of you for being here. Thank you. I would love to just start with each of you telling us sort of the basics about your company. What's your product? Who are your customers? How big is it in sort of revenues or what numbers of employees, however you talk about it? And just to flaunt convention, Nina, we'll start with you in the middle.
Okay. First of all, I'm grateful to be here with you today. My purpose in being here is really for you. If you could learn anything from my journey, then that makes me truly happy. So the company itself is Pinnacle Group. I started it from my apartment living room floor when I was 25 years old. I think I just dated myself. We're in our 27th year of operations. Pinnacle does business with the Fortune 100 client base. So we provide IT labor to the Fortune 500, so large buyers of information technology. It's IT staffing. We've also evolved into managed services, and so we are the proverbial admissions department for all non-employee labor, again, for really big companies, so on behalf of big companies. So our customer base includes companies that are companies like AT&T, Verizon, Comcast, in the financial space, every single major financial institution, Citibank, Fidelity, JP Morgan Chase, just to give you an example of the caliber of customers that we serve. We have about 4,000 consultants in the United States and Canada. Among both of those divisions, we manage about $4 billion on behalf of our customers, about 10,000 workers on the managed service side. But that's what we do. We're in the services business. We provide people. Except my children will tell you, are you in human trafficking? I was trying to explain to them what we do. And they're like, so wait, you sell people? So we are in the business of information technology and people. And our purpose, more importantly, is connecting people to opportunity.
So don't let anybody tell you you can't build a big company without taking VC money, right?
That's right. Well, yeah, that's right. Because yes.
All right, JeVon, you're up next. Let's hear tell us about Scribe.
I'm the president and CEO of Scribe Media. We help authors write, market, and publish their books. So most people know our company by the former Navy SEAL David Goggins. We published David Goggins' book, both books. We were the first company that did an audiobook that way, to where the audiobook is the narrator reads the chapter, and at the end of the chapter there's a Q&A that had never been done before, and we were the first company that had done that. So we've worked with the Nobel Peace Prize Committee, Nassim Taleb, the former CEO of Chipotle, Monty Moran. But most of our authors are CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, and people who want to do a legacy piece, a legacy book for their children, which is actually how I got to the company. I was in software before and helped scale a software company that ended up being sold off to Accenture. I wanted to write a legacy book for my children, got introduced to the two co-founders of Scribe Media. The company was 13 months old, and they said, hey, if we give you equity, would you become the CEO? And all I have is a GED. Never went to college, I have a GED. So I scaled a software company, I can't write code. Now I'm getting invited to be the CEO of a publishing company, and I can't read, can't tell you an adverb from an adjective. And I remember saying to myself, God bless America, I'm in. And so here I am 7 years later, I bought out my partners, I own the company, and we're currently in the middle of trying to sell the company. So that's what we do. We've had the incredible blessing to be named Best Place to Work in Austin, #1 company of culture in America by Entrepreneur magazine. And somebody lost their damn mind last year, and Ernst & Young named me Entrepreneur of the Year, and I still don't know how that happened. So, but yeah, that's what we do, how we do it.
That's a big deal.
A little bit.
It's a big deal.
Arjun, great learning.
Yeah, so again, thanks for inviting me and great to be on the panel. So Great Learning, our mission is to enable people from all over the world to get access to high quality education and through that transform their lives and their careers. Now these are in areas like data science, AI, machine learning, cloud computing, cybersecurity, all the skills that are needed for folks to participate in the digital economy that we're living in today. Now we differentiate from a lot of platforms in the sense that we're focused on outcomes. So basically not just getting access to content, but really taking you from having access to the point of then having mastery over a certain topic enough to get a job and be job ready and actually have that career transition or growth. So today we have about 9 million registered learners on our platform. We're in 170 countries, pretty much from around the world. Started in India, but now we've got a presence in pretty much every country that's there. We have about 2,000 people in the company. Yeah, that's roughly where we are at right now.
Great, thank you. And you guys recently had an exit as well, even though you're still involved with the company, right?
Yeah, so about a year and a half, we sold Great Learning to Byju's, and Byju's is one of the largest edtech, I think it is the largest edtech company in the world today.
Wow.
in terms of valuation, and also not just valuation, in terms of customer base, reach, in many dimensions. So again, a company that started in India, but then has a global presence. So we saw an opportunity to do that. We were actually, I think we'll come down in the line, but we never raised money, and hence the panel. But then when we had an opportunity with a fantastic partner who we shared our similar values, then we took that opportunity, and then we had the exit about a year and a half.
But then you and your co-founders are still very involved.
Yes, we're still operating as an independent company. We're still very much part of the mission. I mean, we've been doing this for 10 years now. We started in 2013. So the same reasons that we got involved in the early part, which is about providing high quality education. So those reasons still hold, and I don't think we've yet, solved the problems that are there. So I'm pretty much part of the company, still running it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so all three of you have built these companies, in some cases to really big sizes, without taking external capital, without taking VC money, without having to buy into the sort of hyper growth model that you kind of get locked into when you take VC money, for better or for worse. How did you grow your companies? And maybe we'll start with you this time, JeVon. How did you finance and fund the growth of the company?
Completely self-funded. As we did the first book, that led to another, to another, to another. And for us, it was, there's two sides of this. I guess you could go VC and, as they say, go fast. What I have found is that, because I did the same thing in software, we didn't take outside money. And so coming here is you build a foundationally strong company. I've said this out loud, a lot of people are offended by it, but lottery winners, athletes, and VC-backed companies all have something in common. They come into a lot of money, but they've never had to budget $2,000 a month. And if you look at athletes, they come out of college, they get a $20 million signing bonus, but they've never budgeted $2,000 a month. Why are we surprised that they go broke shortly after they get out of the league? Same thing with lottery winners, and I'm in Austin, Texas. We see it all the time. VC companies, they raise Series A, they get 18 million, so what do they have to do? Go downtown to the hotness, got to build a nice place, got to furnish it, we got everything you can drink and eat, and now we need to raise Series B. And so, because they've never budgeted $2,000 a month. So what I have found is that you build a really foundationally strong company when you have to account for every dollar that you're putting into the company or taking out of the company. So we did it very paced growth, conscious. Hiring was really important. And we even structured our payments with our authors. We could have taken upfront payments, but we had them break them out over 8 months, sometimes 10 months. And it was intentional because then it gave us AR to be able to see, oh, okay, we've got this coming in June, July, August. Now we can structure according to what we see coming in.
So you really used your own revenue to fund the growth, basically.
100%.
Yeah. Arjun, how about Great Learning?
Yeah, very similar story. For us also, it was, we actually, even before we started delivering, we sold the product. So for the first cohort, we already had the cash flow from that. And then we paid our dues, whether it's a marketing budget or the staff salaries or partner shares, all of that over a period of 6 months, 9 months. We always were operating in this negative working capital cycle. So it's actually a magic where though you don't necessarily have to be profitable, so long as you have cash flow, you could use that to grow. And that's what we did throughout. We've always been running it in a paced growth, as you said. So you always know what your cash situation is. So you're never going to accelerate so hard that you'll run out of money. But at the same time, you want to keep going as fast as you can so you're able to fund all your growth needs. So that's exactly what we did as well. 100% customer funded.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a great way to build a business.
Customer funded. I don't think I've heard it phrased quite that way. That makes good sense. How about you, Nina?
So I have determined that there are two types of entrepreneurs. There are lifestyle entrepreneurs and there are empire builders. By the way, both of them are amazing. One is not better than the other. They're just different choices. And almost every single question you can ask me on a panel about building a business, running a business, actually you don't run a business, you lead people, but anything around getting to where I am today, the answer is always discipline. Consistency and discipline. Most people don't want to hear that, but it is consistency and discipline. We have been self-funded. We also, because we do business with a Fortune 100 base, we have great receivables. And so we're using the receivables of our customers. On the managed service side, we're receiving the money in advance and then flipping the money around to suppliers. And so those two models have really allowed us to grow. But absent that, it's really about having the discipline to reinvest in the business. I started this company because I was looking for an opportunity for my family. I come from an immigrant family. We grew up in California. I come from 5 children. I lost my father very early in my life. I was 17 years old, and so I ran his business. So all I ever knew was the world of entrepreneurs. No one in my family had gone to college. We didn't know about corporate America. I was the first to get a college education in my family, and I was in pursuit of an opportunity. Hence today, the company's purpose is connecting people to opportunity. So for me, it was never about the money. And the way when I grew up, I grew up in a very frugal environment. So I took those values of growing up, frugal, not about the money, building community, and I brought those values into the company. And as the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, the tone is set at the top. Those are values that are instilled and run through the veins and the DNA of our organization. We still believe in being frugal. We still believe in giving back to the community. And so for me, it was about that because I've been in the highs and the lows. My parents gave me a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to watch them run a business and to grow a business. And, you know, we had some really challenging times as a family. And so I've learned how to do without, and I've learned how to do with. And so for me, it was the discipline of reinvesting 100% of the profitability of the company since day one back into the business, back into the business, back into the business. I did that for almost 20 years. And what happens is when people see you doing that as the CEO, you were talking about earlier building culture and getting people enrolled and helping you build the company. Nobody wants to join you to build a company to make yourself rich. That's never a winning strategy. You have the opportunity to invite people to build something bigger than they are. And then when they see you putting skin in the game, and they see you investing, and they see you driving a 15-year-old car, and they see you delaying gratification, they understand that you're the real deal and you're putting them first. And so for me, that's really been the secret to our success, is the discipline. And that has afforded me, by the way, the opportunity to build an incredible management team. I've had people by my side for 25 years, 23 years, 22 years, 15 years. And it's because they watch through your actions. Most CEOs will say, put people first. You've got to really show them through actions, and people will actually stay. There have been many times in our journey, by the way, we almost went out of business after 9/11. We were literally down to a liquidation plan. Like, I almost didn't make payroll. I remember those days. I mean, the stress and anxiety of almost not making payroll, I've been there before. And now we've survived 3 pandemics, not just 9/11, the 2008 recession, and of course COVID-19. So much to talk about in the journey, but almost any question that you'll ask me, it's about discipline. Today, Pinnacle is the largest Latina-owned workforce solutions company in America. We've been on the Inc. 5000 list 13 times, the Inc. 5,500 list, and I've earned the right to be the TFO, and I'm looking forward to continuing that trajectory as I plan forward. And anybody who doesn't know TFO, it's the freaking owner. And so that is my goal.
You didn't want to say freaking.
Well, you
didn't want to say freaking.
And so I do. Today I own 100% of the equity of the company. I am officially the TFO. I am earning the right to replace myself in the next, 5 to 7 years, depending. But it's been an incredible journey. But discipline and consistency is practically the answer to every question you'll ask me.
We're showing our ages. We almost missed payroll due to 9/11, the Great Recession, the mortgage crisis.
You've been there.
Not Silicon Valley Bank. Our payroll misses were something totally different than just a bank that was mismanaged.
Yeah, I remember. I'm going to steal a question from an earlier audience member. In the VC panel, somebody asked this question. I wrote it down so I could get his words exactly correct. His question was, in order to attract, he was told that he really had to get VC money because otherwise it would be too hard for him to attract good talent, to grow fast and be big. And to do those 3 things, he really had to raise VC money. And particularly he was asking about hiring. Have you found it challenging to hire really great talent without being able to sort of have the validation of, hey, I've raised money from this big VC big VC company, and we're going to use that VC money to grow quickly? Has it made hiring difficult? Arjun, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I think hiring is the most important job that you do as a founder or leader of any company, and hiring is particularly difficult if you don't have a lot of money to throw at people. So that's obviously a challenge. So there are a few different tools that you have at your disposal to make it happen. I think one is, for us, the fact that we started in India, where the cost is itself lower and there's great talent there. I think that helps. So you don't necessarily have to have the same benchmarks of salaries that you have in Silicon Valley. So thinking about where you want to locate your company and where you're going to find the talent, I think that's an important thought. The second one is we used equity pretty well. So we gave equity to our employees, and then that helped with longer term orientation. And also the way it finally worked out, the folks who got equity, and that's more than I think 125 people in our company actually had equity, and which is very unusual. And then when the exit happened, all of them were able to reap a reward. And people, as you said, although we've not been around for 20, 25 years, Nina, but
Don't make fun of my age. Don't make fun of my age.
Pretty much everybody who's been with Great Learning since the beginning has actually stayed around as well. And I think it's a combination of, one, of course, the fact that there's a longer term orientation. And the last thing I would say is it's also, you have to hire people almost at a below market rate. And you're doing that by getting people excited about your mission, about the fact as to you're actually doing something that is meaningful. And as a founder, you also need to be inspirational to be able to get people to work together and getting people excited about it, right? So I think these were some of the things that, whether we thought about it or not, but those are the things that sort of went into when I think back in the earlier days of putting the company together. And that founding team also matters, because once you get a good set of people together and they share common values, and then it almost becomes fun. It's not necessarily about work. It's, you're getting to come together to do something fun, and that also enables you to get great people to come work together.
Yeah. It's probably a good segue to you, JeVon, because I know your company's been recognized for its culture pretty significantly. Has that played a role for you in being able to hire really good people?
It has. We would sit back and ask ourselves, okay, how do you do it different? Nina mentioned this. You hear so many people say, oh, put people first, and they say it, and they don't actually do it. And Nina shared a little bit about her background. So for me, where I first learned to put people first, my dad was black, my mom was white, so mixed race, and my dad was a real pimp. He put women on the street corner, they sold their bodies, my dad took every dollar. And in watching my dad, that's where I learned entrepreneurship and putting people first. As a 9-year-old kid, I remember saying to myself, I wonder if I would let the prostitutes keep part of the money, and if I treated them nicer, would I have more prostitutes and then I'd make more money? And I was 9 years old, and that was my insight to business. And once I became president, CEO, I truly looked at putting people first from multiple areas. Growing up mixed race in the 70s here in the United States, not a good look. Black people didn't like me because I was half white people didn't like me because I was half black. You're constantly trying to fit in. So from all different areas, I learned, okay, we're all human, let's just put people first. So we completely tried to disrupt, how does corporate America see culture? We're big on words, we're publishers. The words human capital, this goes to Nina. Human capital, think about that. Why do we use that word? Are we trafficking people? Human capital. I'm not in the trafficking business. I'm not saying
Neither
that
am
shit.
I, for the record.
Yeah, like human capital, or people are our greatest assets. My stock portfolio is my greatest asset. If you're looking at people as an asset, you got to look at yourself and say, that's a real plantation mentality that, whoever's in the field, those are my assets. Because if they're not picking whatever crop, I'm not getting paid. If you're looking at people that way, you've got a plantation mentality. Then the last one, recruit and retain. Look at the word retain, to keep possession of. I'm not trying to retain anybody. We want to attract and provide. Attract great people, provide a phenomenal culture, great pay, wonderful work. So we looked at everything from a culture perspective. How's corporate America doing it, and how do we approach it differently? And these are all little pieces. It's never one thing. You have to be committed and disciplined and be consistent in what you're doing. The last one for us, go to most every company website, their About Us page. What do you see the first thing you click on? Chairmen, founders, C-suite executives. You come to ours, if you're looking for the CEO, me, I'm at the bottom. Why? Because I want you to have to go through every person who's actually doing the work long before you make it down to me. As a CEO, my role is to serve and support. That's it. I'm only as good as the great people I serve and support. I can't even read. I own the damn company. They still won't let me proofread. Not going to happen. So I'm only as good as the great people that I serve and support, and that all goes into the culture of putting people first.
Thanks.
So I'm going to take a stab at that answer.
Okay.
The question was, have I found it hard to attract people because we don't have VC? The answer is a resounding no. And I think about two things when I think about attracting people. Number one, as the founder and the CEO, your opportunity is to enroll the right kind of people into your firm. And so I have personally hired my management team. I take great pride in that. And one of the things I tried to do is align our values. And you're inviting them to join something bigger than they are. But make no mistake, your values have to be aligned. It doesn't matter how intelligent they are, how expensive they are, how inexpensive they are. I've had a lot of family. They're really inexpensive. I mean, they came to work, very young into the firm. But what has to be just undeniable is the values have to align. That's what really allows people to stay. And the second thing, which is a small subtlety, we're in the service business, but in lieu of equity, the way I was able to retain the equity is by paying people, really sharing the wealth. You can call it phantom equity, you can call it a great comp program, whatever it is. The subtlety that you're learning here today is how you comp people matters. I comp them on performance. If they're willing to come in and help build an entrepreneurial venture, then they shall also be paid performance-based. And so as a service organization, I did that very early on. And by the way, Pinnacle is the type of company who, it's like a sports team. In some years, the players made more money than the coach. And that's okay, because I started I told you, it's never been about the money for me. And so if it is about building an enduring company, which is my personal goal, is to build an enduring company that will survive beyond my lifetime. I think in terms of decades. Sometimes we underestimate what we can do. We overestimate what we can accomplish in 1 year, and we underestimate what we can accomplish in a decade. It's called a decader. If you think of yourself in decades, I think that is something to keep in mind as you're thinking about a business, or thinking about building a business. But for me, it's those two things. It's number one, share the wealth and the vehicle in which you're sharing the wealth. For us, it was performance-based comp. And number two, align values. Align values and recruit people. Not everybody was made for Pinnacle. I had 4 children in 6 years, so I'm a mother of 4 beautiful children. And I understood that women have to sometimes make a decision between work and family, work and family, work and family. And so I immediately understood that. I want both. I want to build a career, build a business, and have a family. So I purposely went out and recruited really intelligent women that had multiple kids. My general counsel had 3 kids. 3 kids, was working for a university, brilliant, Columbia educated. But I aligned in the values that what she wanted and what we wanted. And 60% of Pinnacle's headquarters, it was interesting when we were named one of the fastest growing women-owned businesses in America, 60% were women. And so it's interesting when you tap in and to unleash people with the same values and allow them to unleash their entrepreneurial skills, it's amazing what you can build.
That's awesome. I'm going to just veer topics a little bit away from how you funded the growth of your company. I'd just love to know where the idea for the company came from originally. So in your case, Nina, your website says the company started as a one-woman IT consulting firm. How did you know this was the right business? And when did you sort of recognize, oh, this is not going to be a one-woman IT consulting firm anymore?
So I'm going to take you back. To my family business. My father ran a chain of travel agencies. I started working at the age of 10. By the time I was 15 years old, I was a full-fledged travel agent. And you guys don't look old enough to remember. Before we had travel tickets, electronic travel tickets, we called them vouchers. There was this thing called travel vouchers. And there was no computers. You had like a big yellow pages called the OAG, and you'd call the airline and wait on hold for 30 minutes. That was my job at 15. And so at 15 years old, my father brought this dumb terminal. It was a computer to the office. And if you remember, the Sabre system connected directly to the airline. And so I was 15 years old, and I saw the big yellow pages, computer, big, and I thought, so I began to get curious about, what is this computer thing? What is that technology? This is why today I'm such an advocate to get the next generation, particularly in underserved communities, curious. You know, I throw out hashtags like business is for everyone. Business changed my life. Like learn business. And so I was curious about technology. If you couple that with the fact that I went to college, I immediately got a job in technology because I took that little curiosity of 15 years old and I brought it into a sector in an industry. And so I moved to New York City. I left my family, my home, which is really hard to do if you're a Latina. If there's any Latinas in the room, you'll know it's impossible. My mom couldn't figure out why in the world I would leave the family and move to a place where I don't know. Particularly, she told me to be very careful of those Wall Street men in business suits. So naturally, I married one. But my point is, I already forgot the question. No, I'm just kidding. Now, my point is, it was a curiosity that started at 15 years old, coupled with all I ever knew, which was an entrepreneurial endeavor. And when I put those two together, that's what really became Pinnacle.
That's awesome. And how about great learning? How did you and Mohan and Hari come up with this idea?
Yeah, so the story again goes back to, we were at this business school in India called Great Lakes Institute of Management, and there was one course in data science that was running there, which was getting popular. And we were looking around, and online there were courses like platforms like Coursera and Udemy and so on, which were global players. And we were wondering what it would take to launch an online executive education platform in India. So that's where sort of the original thought was. But at that point in India, it was actually not really possible to do an online education company because for some, it was not even normal for people to pay for things online. So this is 10 years back, 11 years back. So we actually had a physical center. People would come to our office and then give us checks. So they were comfortable with paying for things in cash or in check. And even for the actual product, what people were comfortable with was a service-based experience. You wanted someone to talk to, you wanted to meet someone, you wanted a real person standing in front of you. So there were cultural aspects of what education meant for people. So the differentiation of the product, so we started in a physical classroom-based program teaching data science 10 years back, and that we found suddenly people from different parts of India started coming to our center, and they would prefer to do that versus do something online on Coursera because this is what they thought that they would get outcomes. So we started in Gurgaon, we had about 20-25 people. Then we said, hey, it's working here, why don't we go to Chennai? Then we went to Chennai. Then why don't we go to Bangalore? Why don't we go to Bombay? Why don't we go to Pune? Why don't we go to Hyderabad? So we just went to center by center. Then it's like, this is working. Now, after 4 or 5 years, let's do something online. So then we cracked how to make online work. Then we're like, oh, why don't we go to Southeast Asia and Africa and LATAM and Middle East and the US. So it was mostly a step-by-step process. So I don't think it was just one idea. It was basically chasing opportunity and then unlocking and opening various doors and finding out what was not available to serve that customer need. So we understand customers really well, particularly in this space. So I think that's what is unique for us. We understand learners from now pretty much every part of the world really well, what their pain points are, what the cultural nuances are. So in India, somebody would want to go for higher education because it'll help them get married. It's as funny as that. Yeah, I mean, people. It's actually your prospects improve, and that's a big aspect. And that actually, that information is important because you will name a course a certain way, and the same course you don't want to name that in LATAM or in the US. You'll name the same course differently there because culturally the reason why they want to do it is different. So it's not just about the logic of why learn data science, but there's also an emotional angle of why learn data science. I need to learn data science not just to get a job, but also to improve my social standing. So the idea of understanding what education means to people and not just having a logical approach to it. So the question is, how did the idea of great learning come? I think it's really about understanding different customer segments, unlocking their motivations, and then providing what they wanted, also achieving, then of course, ultimately they need to get jobs and get the skills for it. But it's not just a simple equation as let's teach coding or data science and get people a job, because they don't necessarily purchase your product if you just put that in front of people.
So you sort of went beyond the easy to see physical thing of, oh, I have the certificate, now I can maybe get a better job, but you're sort of touching into more the emotional, social status, marriage kind of aspects of the impact of the education.
Yeah, and I think that came from the idea that in the beginning, when I must have spoken, and not just me, Mohan and Hari, all of us would have spoken to a few thousand people in the beginning, trying to convince them to enroll into our program. So we literally were on the phone call talking to them to enroll, and then they would be asking questions around, so then you understand the questions, what they're asking, where they're coming from, what their backgrounds are. So there's a lot of knowledge that came. And then now when we launch in any new market or any new segment, we still pick up the phone and call. It's not, even at this point, we'd still do it, because that just tells you then the nuances of, to your point, it's not, and that's how you have to do it, because otherwise you're going to compete against Coursera, which has got, I don't know, now like hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars worth of funding. So how do you actually go and fight against a global player? You do it by having much more nuanced understanding of your customer in that geography that none of these global players can ever have. So I know that Coursera won't be able to compete with us in India because we know it better. And for a segment in the US, I know that customer better, that Coursera was not going to be able to compete.
Yep, really deep customer insight.
Yeah.
And JeVon, I know you joined after the company started, but I'm sure you know the founder's starting story. Where did the concept for Scribe come from? What was the need they saw?
Well, the concept was he got challenged for someone to help them write a book without actually writing a book. And what that became is, how can I speak my story and then have someone structure it, format it, make sure it flows correctly, punctuation. So that was the challenge. And what it became was, if Nina's going to write her book, I'd sit with her, I'd ask questions and pull the content from her. It's been proven. One of the hardest things to do in life is to write and think at the same time. Because as you start to think about one story while you're writing another one, you can't write fast enough. So what we wanted to do was just allow you to speak. Okay, keep the stories flowing. Nina sat here, she's told you about her dad, the family business, things that are in the Smithsonian now, the phone book and the monitor. I just showed our age on that one. But for me, I got introduced to the two co-founders because I wanted to write my book. There was no way in hell I was ever going to be able to write a book. But when I found out that I could speak my book and that they would structure it, make sure it flows correctly, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. So I went and originally my book was a legacy piece for my children. Quickly, you heard me say it, my dad was a pimp, he had 23 kids. I'm one of 23. My mother was an orphan, she grew up in an orphanage. I don't know where my last name comes from this day. In and out of juvenile prison 3 different times, homeless. Unlike Nina, who didn't do it for the money, I'm gonna sit here and tell you straight up, yeah, everything I do has a money component to it. I've grown up homeless, hungry, on bus stops, sexually molested, and what I wanted my kids to know, here's how dad got here. No matter how much money I can ever leave to you, nothing is ever going to be more important than me telling you how I did it. I can leave you 10, 50, 100 million. It will never be more valuable than me leaving you how I actually did it. So that became the driver for me to join the organization.
You had something to add, Nina?
Well, I'm still kind of digesting everything he said because it was so beautiful, and there's something so so absolutely beautiful about your honesty. So thank you for
Which
sharing
one, the
that.
part that I do it for the money?
All of it, yeah. All of it. All of it. All of it. All of it. To be clear, oh my gosh, there was a point I was going to make. The point I wanted to make is, in B school language, is what Pinnacle is not a new idea. I didn't come up with a new idea. The staffing industry, the IT industry is a mature market. There are a lot of global players in it. Most of the companies, the Manpowers, the Adecos, what we call the Big Five, they've been around for almost 100 years, 77 years. Kelly Services has been around for. And so it was a mature market. I think for me, in discerning whether to have VC dollars or not, when you think about VC money, you want to, speed is sometimes an issue, you want to be the first to market, or size is an issue, you want to go acquire. And the challenge is, if you're going to go acquire, you got to make sure that the combined companies are more valuable than a single company. And so I wasn't looking to do any of those things. I'm in a mature market. Luckily, it's been a very high growth market, a double-digit high growth market for the last 20 years. But I wasn't interested in going out and acquiring companies. And so that is a fundamental difference and something you should think about when you're evaluating whether you want VC dollars or not. I was not looking to do that. I was looking at the long game. I was looking at building something. I was looking at reinvesting in the business and having, again, I had a different strategy. But I think it's important for you guys to know that, that it's not a big new idea. This is a mature market. And now what we're doing is we're competing against global players. I love what you said about knowing the subtleties, because we built our management service practice on the subtleties of what the global players are not giving Fortune 500. And if we could gain expertise in that area, then we can win. And so we really enrolled, as I was recruiting people to come build something bigger than they are. There is no women-owned business that's large enough. There is no Latino managed services company. There is no, there are very few. There are 5 million Latino-owned businesses in America. Less than 10% of them are actually over $1 million. And so when you're enrolling something to create something in the marketplace and to author that, that can be very, very exciting.
Awesome, thank you. All right, I'm going to open the floor to questions from the audience. You guys have questions for these folks? I see someone back there. Oh, okay, right here, it's good. Go ahead, Stefan.
Hey, my name is Stefan. My question that I have is that often startups can find validation from getting funding from VCs. How have you found validation without that?
I can take a stab at that. Very early on, the way we found validation is through local councils and awards. I was nominated for the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year award. We use the crap out of that. I got to tell you, a lot of companies when they start don't have these multi-$1,000 marketing budgets. Of course, I started before social media. So I leveraged the crap out of two things. One, local awards, going to the local chamber, going to the local college, competing against. So I leveraged that as our own marketing and brand. And the second thing I did was once we landed our first Fortune 500 company, it was Verizon, I made a little PowerPoint. I took that to the till. Like, if Verizon can do business with us, so can you. And so I leveraged, this is pre-social media, pre-big. And so we leveraged to build the brand based on the customers that we serve and the excellence that we had as a company. That's what we did.
I'll just add one aspect to it. I think a good way to also think of validation, if you are doing a non-VC funded company, is typically, it's a VC funded company, you're looking for metrics like user growth and number of users, and there are all kinds of other metrics. But if you are a non-VC funded company, you have to ultimately look for money in the bank. It's as simple as that. So are you actually making money? Are customers willing to pay for your product or service? And how many are paying for it? And are you able to, it's as simple as that. This is like how our previous generation would build a business, right? Where before, and I think it's still it's still a very good way to build a business, especially if you are, and there are some businesses that lends itself for, let's say, VC funded businesses, especially if you think of a winner take all market, and there's a high premium to being first to market, and as you spoke about, like getting big, really big. But if it is not that, without any inherent network effects, then there's no need for it if you're actually able to make money. Then why not build a sustainable business over a period of time?
I'd say the validation, for me, I've never seen VC money as validation, because their game is, let's throw money at 10. If 2 hit, we won. So I've never looked at it as validation. For us, much like Nina, early on, we landed a couple of larger names. We've done the book for Tiffany Haddish, the comedian and actress. So whatever names we would land, we would use those as, hey, look, this person worked with us. Hey, look, this person. You saw I led with David Goggins. David Goggins has the second best-selling memoir of all time, second only to Michelle Obama. And people are like, oh. And then my favorite is when the people say, well, what's your favorite book you worked on? The Nobel Peace Prize Committee. Because if it's good enough for them, no one else can tell me we're not good enough. So.
That's awesome. All right, our last question is going to be right here.
Oh no, it's over!
Can everyone hear me? Yeah? Can everyone kind of hear me? All right, so thank you so much, first off, for doing this. Second, I just love passionate, innovative, driven, curious hearts, right? So I'm curious about any anecdotes you may have where you've had opportunities to inspire and support innovation of diverse employees in your organizations.
You would think, given all three of us are minorities, we would have been a little bit faster on that answer.
I'm happy to answer that question. I started, again, there is so much gratitude to where it's not, for me, it's not about what you've achieved. Back to your point, it's the journey that got you there. And I am so grateful, because the data will show you, if I was a statistics, I would be impossible. To be where I am today, to have been a presidential ambassador of global entrepreneurship, to have earned honorary doctorates, to have learned, this is so much gratitude here that 27 years ago, I started that way. So I started raising money for Hispanic students to go to college. And I was enrolling everybody in doing so, because it was such a pivotal thing for me to get a college degree, and education was such a big value, that I spend a lot of my off time speaking at universities, speaking to women-owned businesses, speaking to minority-owned businesses. I've dedicated a lot of time to that. And so the way that's manifested itself at Pinnacle is people have really brought what they are passionate about into the company. We have a program called Pinnacle Gives today, and it means that you can go out and do whatever you're passionate about, because education and tech and STEM and minority-owned businesses are my passion, but there are a lot of people in the business that understand that Pinnacle today is a platform. It's not a company, it's almost a platform for you to come in and to build a business and to do good in your community at the same time. And now the data will show you that most people are focused on purpose, on giving back to the community, but I was saying this earlier when we were having a conversation, there's a difference between what's new and what's rare. What's new and in vogue today is giving back to the community, diversity, doing good while doing well. All those things are new, and they're flashy, purposeful. What is rare is to actually have someone think about that 2 decades ago, almost 3 decades ago. And so that was a very long-winded way to answer your question. But today at Pinnacle, we consider ourselves a part of building our community is part of our business.
Yeah, no, I think the reason why I probably took a minute to think about it is that when I think of our employee base, I mean, it's all diverse. I can't see, I don't see any other, it's actually very diverse. We have, well, you could say that it's all, pretty much everybody is in India, but that's because we built a company there. But we have about, I think 45% of our company is women, which is very interesting. And in fact, we find that women do very well in roles that I wouldn't have thought were actually traditionally women roles, like sales leadership, because a lot of women, when I started Great Learning, I didn't think that women would want to take a sales role and then be on the hook for monthly sales targets, but women did very well, and particularly the women with kids are actually doing an even better job in sales, and I was actually very surprised with that, and in really hard ops roles, right? So I think that's one area that we find. We find that there is diversity from people with different educational backgrounds. So we've been able to get people from not so great undergraduate institutes, people who've actually, again, in sales, I've got people now, we've got not very large numbers, but we've got a lot of people who actually did not go to undergrad. So we're now one of the companies, we hire people even if you don't have an undergraduate degree. And India, that's completely non-traditional to hire people without an undergraduate degree. So we're hiring people without an undergraduate degree, we're putting them in roles, and they're actually doing pretty well. And they are actually talking about data science and AI and machine learning, which is incredible, people without an undergraduate degree to be able to have that conversation. And we have now a program where they can earn the degree through us. If they spend 4 years with us, we actually pay for their undergraduate degree. So we're enabling people to actually get degrees as well. And we partner with some of the best universities, so they can actually get those degrees and certificates paid for just by working with us. So there are a bunch of initiatives like that we do, and to try and enable people who traditionally did not have access to education, to mentorship, to get into the workforce and then participate in all of that's happening.
Beautiful.
So I'll try to be quick before Deb turns off the microphone on me. So the word itself, diversity, it's become a very hot word in our country. And the fact of the matter is, what are we talking about? We're talking about people. When you get down to it, you're talking about people. Not just black people, not Asian, not Indian, you're talking about people. So for us, we created what we call a culture of welcome. Growing up, mixed race, I was always trying to be accepted. I was always trying to belong. God knows I didn't want to just be tolerated. So what you see right now in America is, we should be more accepting. I'm not applying to college. I'm not trying to get into a college, country club, so I don't want you to accept me. I don't want to belong, because belonging implies someone doesn't. And it's interesting how we've jumped on that word now. Culture of belonging. Well, that means someone doesn't. And then tolerate, I damn sure don't want to be tolerated. The way we look at our company is, can you perform in your role? Will you drive results? Will you uphold the values? Yes, welcome. Does not matter who you voted for. Does not matter how you identify. Doesn't matter if you believe in God or if you don't believe in God. Can you perform in the role? Can you drive results? Will you uphold the values? Welcome. Why that's important to me, again, is growing up with a single mom, certain things always jumped out to me. 67% of our company is composed of women. Outside of me, the whole executive team is women. The highest paid people in the company outside of me, women. And so, to Arjun's point, women are great, but I had the benefit of seeing a powerful woman raise me as a single mom that had to play both roles. Now, I have a wife, 2 daughters, and want to see my daughters do the same thing. But diversity right now in this country, it's a bit sad, because I hit hard when people apply with us and they'll say some stupid shit to me like, what are your DEI initiatives? Okay, well, first of all, let's get something straight. An initiative is software implementation. There's a start and there's a finish. There's no end to diversity. Just because you hired 13 minorities, a chief diversity officer, and started using pronouns in your email address, you didn't fucking win. Stop celebrating. Well, look what we did. No, it's not an initiative. This is lifelong. You have to consistently be committed to diversity of all people, not just black, not just Asian, Indian, all people, humans.
Amen. That's beautiful.
That's as good a place to bring us to a close as I can possibly imagine. I am so grateful to all three
Incredible.
of you for being here. It's this is how companies, the majority of companies are built and grow in this country. Not all of them get to be quite this size, but I'm really grateful to you all for being here. So thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
opportunity.